you to a new section here on this course on Django. In this tutorial, basically we are going to be covering the section overview of what we will be covering in this section. So in this section, we are going to be covering three important concepts. Now the first concept that we are going to start on in this section is about the Django template language. So what is Django template language? You will be seeing at the start of this section. The second concept we are going to be covering in this section is about the Jinja format, and Jinja format is basically something that helps you make things dynamic and do a lot of more stuff. So how this is created, how this is done, how this is used is also a part of this section. The third concept we are going to be covering in this section is get versus post. So what is get, what is post, and we are going to see the difference between these two as well, that when to use which of these. So it is a very important section, and this section is basically going to build your baseline for the future tutorials in which we will be studying the advanced topics. So when we will be creating the websites in the future, these concepts are going to help you a lot because they provide you a baseline of whatever we will be studying in the future tutorials. So this is a very important section regarding that. So I guess you stick on to this section and learn everything. So I guess that's it with this tutorial. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial. Welcome you to another tutorial on this course on Django. In this tutorial, we are going to be covering a very interesting topic, that is Django template language. So in this tutorial, we will see how we can create a template or an HTML page and access the content of that HTML page. In the second part of the tutorial, we will see how to create dynamic content and send it to the template page we created. So it's going to be a very interesting tutorial. So before we start on, the first thing you need to know is about what is Django template language. So basically, what is Django template language? A Django template is simply a text document or a Python string markup using the Django template language. Some constructs are recognized and interpreted by the template engine. The main ones are variables and tags. Now, a template is always rendered with a context. Now, how are you going to render the context? It is going to be done with the help of the render function you have been seeing in the files created already for your application. So let's move on to the first part of the tutorial. So I will move on to the compiler. So as I told you before that a template is always rendered with a context. So basically, where is that context? So that context is basically in this file named as views.py, which will be available in the directory of the application you have created, that is calc. So just open this and you can see over here that we have already created a function named as home in our previous section. So this basically contain return, HTTP response, hello world type of things. Now, what if I want to apply Django template language to it? Now, basically, Django template language is going to render this concept. So what we are going to write over here is that, for example, I want to make it something like bold in header 1 file. So I'm going to write in H1 over here. And I'm going to write in H1 over here as well. So basically what it's going to do is that it's going to make this hello world in a header file. So let me just run my server. So I will write in Python manage.py run server. So I will just click on enter and I will wait for the server to run. And my server is now running. I've got the IP address. I will just copy this and I will open my browser window. And in here, I will just paste the address, click on enter. And you can see over here that the hello world that was in some small letters before is now in header 1. So this is how basically you can render your concept using the Django template language. Now, the above thing can also be done for a single entity or let's say 10 entities. But what if you have 100 lines of code and you want to modify then surely you want some other method. Now that's where Django template language comes into your help. Now what you're going to do is that you will just open PyCharm again And now you need a folder named as templates. Now, since Django has already created this templates folder for us by default, if you don't have this folder, you can just right click over here and you can just create that folder over here. But since we already have a folder over here, so we don't need to create a new folder. So what we are going to do is that in this folder, you can have any number of template pages. So we will create a template page over here. We will go on to new, and then you can just go on to this option that says HTML file. You are going to click on this and we are going to create a HTML5 page. Now what we are going to do is that we are going to name our page over here. So let's name it as something like index.html and just click on enter. Now in the template folder, we will have a folder created, as you can see right over here, that templates now has an index.html and this is loaded, and whatever text is written in over here, that is created by Django by default, or you can see that it is a property of this compiler to create all this content right in over here. Now in this HTML5, what you will do is that you will just remove it from here and we will have the command over here that is h1. And in here, what we are going to do is that we are going to type in hello world and we are going to just end it. So we are going to write in h1 over here. Now since we already have hello world over there, so to just differentiate that now our Django is accessing this index.html, let's just add hashtag at the start and hashtag at the end to see the difference, so that we can understand that yes, this output is being printed and not the previous output is being printed. So we have added these hashtags. Now you need to tell your project that you have created this HTML file named as index.html and you have to access it. So what you're going to do is that you're going to visit settings.py right over here. Now what you need to do over here in this settings.py file is that you need to add the directory of this templates folder over here. Now you don't need to create it because Django has created it to you. Now you can just scroll a bit up into this templates thing, and in this templates thing you can see that we have this dirs added that is equal to os.path.join, and the first parameter is the base directory, which you can find right at the top over here. You can see that we have this base directory over here. So the first parameter of this join function is going to be that directory. Now the second parameter is going to be that folder, that is the templates folder in which you have the template page named as index.html, which you want to access. So now we are all set. Now what we need to change is that we need to now tell the views.py that we have a page named as index.html and that you need to access it now. So what we are going to do is that we are going to now change this HTTP response to our render function, and in that render function we will have two arguments. The first argument is going to be the request which this render function is going to render, and the second argument is going to be the name of the page which it has to render. So the page name is index.html in our case. So basically settings.py is going to tell our compiler that basically we are going to refer to this page, that is, this folder, that is templates folder, and we are going to look for templates in this folder. And then this views.py in which we have this render function is going to tell it that in that templates folder, you are going to look for a file named index.html and you are going to render that file, and whatever the output is going to be displayed is going to be through this index.html. So if you just open your browser, you are going to see that you have this output that was the previous output. But now if you just move here, run your server, manage.py, run server, click enter, and your server is running. So now if you just move on to your browser, refresh this page, you can see that you have these hashtags add, which means that now the output is not being generated from the printed line that was the HTTP response, but it has been printed from the HTML page, which is index.html, in which you have these hashtags added at the start and ending of hello world. So this is how basically you can access your index.html page or any kind of HTML page and any content in it. So now to the second part of the tutorial that deals with dynamic content. Now in this case, you can see over here that we are sending a static word, that is world. In every case we are saying hello and then we are going to say world. Now what if we want to change this to, let's say, something like my name Umair? Then the question arises that can we do it? Yes, this is possible and you can do it. Now what you need to change over here is this views.py. Now in this views.py, what you need to do is that you need to send dynamic data instead of static data to your browser. So what you're going to change over here is that the first argument is going to remain the very same, that is the request. The second argument is also going to remain the very same. And when I was explaining you this render function, I told you that it basically contains 3 arguments, and the third argument is basically option, that is a dictionary. Now what we are going to do over here is that we are going to place a comma. We are going to add these curly brackets. We are going to write in name. And we are going to write in whatever we want to print it, let's say my name, Umair. So this is basically going to do our job. Now this is like a dictionary type created, and that is what will be sent to the template page, that is index.html in our case. Now some changes had to be made in the template page as well, because it cannot be like this and print it out, because if you just, I guess, run it now, it's not going to work. Yup, you can see that nothing was generated and we have the very same output. So we don't want this output. What we want is that we want to display this thing over here. So we are going to go to index.html, and in this index.html, what we want is that we need to tell it that you have to receive the name from the views.py and you have to print that name over here. So what we are going to type in place of this world is that we are going to have double curly brackets and we are going to print name over here. So what it's going to do is that it's going to fetch this name, that is basically a dictionary, and this is the key for that dictionary and this is the value for that dictionary. So what it's going to do is it is going to grab this key over here, which we have specified over here, and whatever value is assigned to this key, in our case it is my name, so it's going to grab this value and it is going to print it with this hello. So it is going to say hello and then it's going to say my name. We don't need these hashtags anymore, so we'll just remove it from here. So basically these double curly brackets indicate that the code is now dynamic. So I guess now whatever changes you have made are going to be displayed on the screen. So let's just refresh our browser. I hope the server is running. Yes, it is. So let's just refresh this page and you can see over here that it has printed my name hello and then it has printed out Umair. So basically this hello word is static over here because that was not sent from views.py, but this name Umair is sent from the dictionary, which means that it is now dynamic. Now you can change it to any other name. For example, if I just go to this over here and I say hello and friends and just refresh this page and you can see over here that it says hello friends. So it is working perfectly fine. So this is basically how you can make your content dynamic using the views.py file and the index.html file. So I hope it's clear. So I guess that's it with this tutorial as well. The purpose of this tutorial was to let you know how to create dynamic content in HTML using the Django template language. So that's it with this tutorial. Thank you so much guys for watching and I will see you guys in the next tutorial.